Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Puruṣottama-kathā. This is part 2, and today we will be studying Puruṣottama-kṣetra-Māhātmya, the glories of Jagannātha Purī, which is also known as Puruṣottama-kṣetra. Sorry for the delay because there were some technical issues and I was unable to forward in the WhatsApp groups, but for those of you who are watching, please share it in your socials so that more people can join and we can have Harikatha. All right, so we'll quickly begin saying our Mangalacharan prayers, seeking the blessings of the Guru Parampara, and we shall begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha panchatattvatmakam krishnam bhaktarupa swarupakam bhaktavataram bhaktakyam namami bhaktashaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dhyeyam sada paribhavaghnamabhishtadoham tirthaspadam shiva virinchinutam sharanyam bhrityartiham pranatapala bhavabdhipotam vande mahapurushate charanaravindam tyaktva sudustyaja surepsita rajya lakshmim dharmishtha aryavachasa yadagadharanyam Maya mrigam dayitayepsitamanvadhavad Vande Mahapurushate Charanaravindam. Alright, so we will quickly begin. Please share it in the WhatsApp groups and the socials because somehow there is some problem with the sharing of my WhatsApp message. And let me just try again. Okay, maybe somebody else can help me with that. I'll just want to begin the session because we have a lot to cover. All right, so firstly, our Paramaguru, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada, he appeared in this world in Jagannātha Purī at 3:30 p.m. on 6th February 1874 in the Magha Masa, which is also a very auspicious month. Now, there is this verse in the Padma Purana. It's a very important, significant verse. Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnavaha Kshitipavanaha Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Hyutkale Puruṣottama-kṣetra-māhātmya. In Kali Yuga, the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, which are purifiers of the earth, will appear in Puruṣottama-kṣetra in Utkala, Orissa. Now, Odisha is a very considered in India presently, economically, a very backward state. But I think it's improving now. But spiritually speaking, this Puruṣottama-kṣetra, Jagannātha Purī, is the hub of all the four sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas. Now, I do not know whether there is a historical trace of all the sampradayas to Puruṣottama-kṣetra. There is some connection with Sri Sampradaya and Puruṣottama-kṣetra. Ramanujacharya went there, but the origin happened in the south. So I do not know how it is that Puruṣottama-kṣetra is the source of all the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, and I'm certainly not aware of the connection between Puruṣottama-kṣetra and Vishnu Swami Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya. Madhva Sampradaya is ours, but so Kumar Sampradaya and all that. Now, however, Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Navadvip Mahatmya, Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, I think, or Navadvip Bhavataranga, one of those. I think Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. There is, so Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken two major points from all the four sampradayas, and he amalgamated all of that in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and thus he has unified all the mission of all the four sampradayas in our sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And now, after 540 years after this, especially after 400 years, 300 something years, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur first started revitalizing the whole Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, it has started to become known to the four, to the society at large, that the highest philosophical end of Vedanta is being propagated by our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the originator or being the main propagator of this Gaudiya Vaishnava theology and practice with the Harinam Sankirtan, and of course Madhavendra Puri revealed Radha Krishna love in our Sampradaya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited this to the highest degree in his during his stay at Jagannātha Purī. He stayed in Jagannātha Purī for 17 years. The last 17 years of his sannyas, of his life, he spent in Jagannātha Purī, and he exhibited such high states of Mahabhava that is only possible for Srimati Radharani. And that is the pinnacle of all spiritual teachings and all spiritual revelations. And that is shown by, that was displayed and exhibited and propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And since he unified all the four sampradayas, you can say that Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnavaha Kshitipavanaha Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Hyutkale Puruṣottama. And especially Kshitipavanaha, the purifier of the earth. Now the entire earth is now purified because of Prabhupada's preaching and globalization of our Krishna consciousness movement. and that purification of Kshiti, or the earth, has begun from the Puruṣottama-kṣetra, which the significance of which and the glory of which we will study today, and it is very relevant for Gaudiya Vaishnavas to understand the significance of Puruṣottama-kṣetra and the theological and philosophical significance it holds to every Gaudiya Vaishnava devotee. And when I say Gaudiya Vaishnava devotee, it is not it sounds like a sectarian, or among Hinduism there's a Vaishnavism, and in Vaishnavism there is 4 sampradayas, and in the 4 sampradayas, in the Madhva Sampradaya there is branch of Gaudiya, which some people contend that it is not part of Madhva Sampradaya, but even if it is, of course it is. And so it is like one shakha, one branch of Hinduism, of the main tree of Hinduism. It's not that. The main tree of the Vedas is our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Actually, it is the dominant. It will remain the dominant philosophical and theological stream that will the main river of nourishment for the entire world for the next 10,000 years, and every other religious system will join in this movement as tributaries do into a massive river. And that is the prediction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it cannot be proven false. And this time will tell that will come true. Now, so therefore, Hyutkale Purushottama, that is very, very important. And to this Puruṣottama Adhika Mas, which is a very auspicious month, considered more auspicious than Kartik month, let us study the glory and significance of Puruṣottama-kṣetra as revealed by Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, and which I came to know of from this Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Vaibhava book. All right, so I'm going to show different parts of this book, and I will also jump to the Veda and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because there is a lot we need to read there. And with that, let's begin. So I'm not going to go into all the details of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's birth and everything, but he took birth and he was the reply or the answer of Krishna to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed to Krishna for one ray of the unlimited effulgence of Vishnu to bless this world. And therefore, there is another biography of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura by Rupa Vilas Prabhu, and that is called A Ray of Vishnu. So, when he prayed, Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed, and then even quickly, soon after, he was blessed with this son, a Mahabhagavat son, who is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura, whom he named Bimla Prasad. Okay, so he Utkale Puruṣottamat. So the dharma here, who wrote this? Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay, so let's read a little bit about this here. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a revolutionary preacher. He's unlike the other Babajis who are reclusive. He not only recognized the superlative value of real Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but uncovered, rejuvenated, propagated, and defended the authentic teachings and practices of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While some educated and religiously committed Hindus of his generation were inspired by the new intercourse with the West to promote Hindu values and teachings to the people thereof, and some Gaudiyas opined that the fulfillment of Lord Chaitanya's prophecy of global Sankirtan was nigh, means, well, next to not. Let's actually not speculate and look up 9. What is that? Okay, let's give it some time. Almost. Okay. Was almost there, I think. Okay, so that's what meaning. So anyway, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur took up the practical task of scrutinizing the theories of Occidental thinkers, that means Western thinkers, in the light of Gaudiya theology, thereby presenting Mahaprabhu's message in a radically new and apposite context. What is apposite? Let's look at apposite. Apt in the circumstances or in relation to something. Okay. So because the world was undergoing a major cultural shift because of the beginning of globalization and the mixing of various peoples from various parts of the world due to the colonization culture at that time. So the Westerners were in our land, in the land of Bharat, and their philosophies were, taking, trickling into the population of India as well. And if our Gaudiya Vaishnavism has to go worldwide, then we have to contend with every other philosophy, theology, religion there is in the world in order to establish the superiority or the supremacy of our Gaudiya Vaishnava theology. So there was a need by an acharya to do a comparative study of all the religious philosophies. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur already started that, and he wrote these two books called Jaiva Dharma and Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, where these philosophies are discussed extensively. And so he presented Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission or the philosophy and cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the highest. Now, thereby presenting Mahaprabhu's message in a radically new and apposite context, he longed for and foresaw events that others might have considered fanciful dreams. So some of what he said were, the dharma preached by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is universal and not exclusive. Shiti Pavana. In fact, Vishwa Pavana. That's why it's called Vishwambhara. Lord Chaitanya is called Vishwambhara, because he would fill the whole universe with prema, Krishna prema. The principle of Kirtan as the future church of the world invites all classes of men without distinction of caste or clan to the highest cultivation of the spirit. This church, it appears, will spread worldwide and replace all sectarian churches which exclude outsiders from the precincts of the mosque, church or temple. Lord Chaitanya did not advent himself to liberate only a few men in India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe and to propagate the eternal dharma, Sanatana Dharma, which is eternal, rendering of service, devotional service to Krishna by the eternal soul to the eternal Lord. Okay, so Lord Chaitanya states in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, in every town, country and village my name will be sung. There is no doubt that this unquestionable order will come to pass. Although there is still no pure society of Vaishnavas, Lord Chaitanya's prophetic words will in a few days come true, I am sure. Why not? Nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning. From imperfection, purity will come about. Very interesting, he said that. Nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning. From imperfection, purity will come about. It's very interesting, because you know that the entire creation happens from the supreme pure. Vishnu and then Brahma and then eventually all the Prajapatis and everything, the whole population, and then so it starts from the purest and then it goes a little bit impure, and then there is system how to purify the entire population and the yajnas, the system of yajna and everything. But the reformation of anything starts from imperfection, and purity will eventually come about. Nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning. So, and especially for him to have that supreme confidence in the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction, and then even, okay, let me tell you something. I just learned a few days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it took him about 10 full years to just find a copy of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And that too, it's not like, see, we have to know that it is not the printing press. All this was started by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I mean, printing the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature in large scale printing. Not even Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had a little magazine and all of that, but many of his manuscripts he did not even print. They were printed later on by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. The printing press was mainly taken up by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. And therefore, we have such records of books now. But the manuscript of Chaitanya Bhagavat was found by Bhaktivinoda Thakur after extensive search. Imagine, there was no online thing. You can't just sit on a computer and then search and then find out things. No, you can't. You had to really go and meet with so many people, so much field work of research needed to be done in order to get one's hand on something. And even if there is a copy, how is he going to gain access to that? How can he have it in his hand? How can he then put how to say Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, one of these, Chaitanya Bhagavat, I guess. Yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Chaitanya Charitamrita also, I think Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura got it. No, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think, also got it with great difficulty. With great difficulty. It wasn't so easily available. And imagine, it is written manuscripts. And one has to deduce everything and write it all out and then have it printed and eventually write commentaries, and then the propagation again revived. So this is not an easy thing. He underwent enormous amounts of sacrifice and dedication in order to re-establish Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And then Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura printed all of these, gave his commentary, bhashya, and in that way all these books have come to the fore, and now we can distribute them all over the world. This is we are supremely blessed that all of this is going on. Just a moment. Sorry. Okay. There's no doubt. Yes. So from imperfection, purity will come about. So to have that supreme confidence that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given this already prediction, now he was starting from a place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction is there, and the present state at his time of Gaudiya Vaishnavism was absolutely abysmal. So he had to revive everything. So from imperfection, purity will come about. He did not just, everything is just bad, just, I will not do this, I will do something else. No. So that is the attitude. If something is dirty or something, I have to clean it. Okay. So he took up of course he's empowered and he is Krishna's confidential associate, and therefore he could do it. But he's teaching us how we should have the attitude, and by unflinching faith in the acharyas, in our Guru Parampara, in our spiritual master and the predecessor acharyas, we can have the strength to push forward the movement. Despite, now you see, after Prabhupada left, the movement has gone into impurity, imperfection, because of deviation, right? So again, from imperfection, purity will come about. So we have to have that confidence and pray to Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to give us the strength to do so. So reading on, very soon the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the planet. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, Prussian and American people will take up banners, mridangas and kartals and perform kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the western fair-skinned men from one side, while chanting Jai Sachinandan Ki Jai, will extend their arms and, embracing the devotees of our country coming from another side, treat us with brotherly feelings. When will that day be? On such a day, they will say, our dear Aryan brothers, we have taken shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, who is the ocean of transcendental love. Kindly embrace us. When will that day come? That day will witness the holy transcendental Vaishnava Prema to be the only dharma. And like rivers meeting the ocean, all narrow creeds will mix with the unlimited Vaishnava dharma. When will that day come? So this is these are the moods of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All right. All right. So now I would like to take you to that chapter which we already read, the seer and the seen. I think that part we read. Okay. So this is one of the things that where is it? Yeah. Okay, so this Drigdrishya Vichar. Who's the seer and who's the seen? So Krishna is the seer and we have to be the seen by Krishna. We have to be seen by Krishna means we have to act in such a way that Krishna wants to see us. So this is the famous incident where Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura took darshan at Jagannātha Purī, took darshan of Jagannath in Puri. So how he took darshan, we can see here, and our philosophy is there in how the manner in which he took darshan. So Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura demonstrated Drigdrishya Vichar when at Sri Chaitanya Math, this is at Mayapur. Okay, Sri Chaitanya Math is in Mayapur. When at Sri Chaitanya Math, he was once standing at the doorway of the inner sanctum looking toward the deities of Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari. Guru Gauranga means Nitai Gauranga and Gandharvika Giridhari is Radha Krishna. Since Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was not wearing his spectacles, an accompanying disciple suggested that perhaps he was unable to properly see the deities. Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura smiled and said, "We should not think of the Supreme Lord as an object of our vision. Instead, we should meditate on how we can acquire some qualification to become worthy objects of His vision. We should consider whether He wants to see us and reveal Himself to us. And for Him to do that, we have to satisfy His pure devotee. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. That's the principle. There's no other way. Now, he demonstrates this on how he took darshan at Jagannātha Purī. So we have read this, but because this is the topic, so we will read it again. Following the example of Lord Chaitanya, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī took darshan of Jagannātha in Puri from a distance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took darshan in the same way. How? From behind the Garuda Stambha at the entrance to the temple. So every temple, Vaishnava temple, there will be a Garuda Stambha, especially the older temples. Our ISKCON temples don't have Garuda Stambha, but we have the Prabhupada deity inside the temple hall. But there is a Garuda Stambha that is usually in all Sri Vaishnava temples, you will see this, and even apparently even Jagannātha Purī, there is the Garuda Stambha. You can also see when you go there. So, what is it all about? So, there on top of the Garuda Stambha is said to be the Garuda, the carrier of the eagle carrier of the Lord. Now, from behind the Garuda Stambha, he took darshan of Jagannath. Mind you, I was also in 2006 or 2007. I was able to go until the deity room of Jagannath, and we could touch the feet of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So definitely, it was possible back in the time of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. But he did not go so far. He took darshan from behind the Garuda Stambha, and he explained why. He explained, we will stand behind our Guru, Garuda. Jagannath will look at Garuda because Garuda is his devotee. Then he will also cast his merciful glance upon us. After once taking darshan in this way, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī expounded, Jagannath is not drishya but drashta. Upadrashta, Anumanta cha, even Paramatma in the heart. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the Lord is the Upadrashta, he is the overseer. But ultimately, the Supreme Lord is the only seer. We are supposed to be the seen. Only when a jiva is wholly free from the conception of himself being drashta, and when he is fully situated in the understanding of himself as drishya of Jagannath and to be enjoyed by him, then only can the jiva remain sevonmukha. That means favorably disposed towards service, with the service attitude. Sevonmukha. Sevonmukhe jihvado. And with eyes of love actually have darshan of Jagannath. As long as we think, I shall see Jagannath, then we shall not see him. But only wood, stone, an object described in the Buddhist literature, or an antique handless statue that is an object of our enjoyment. Eyes of flesh can never chalk out the Satchidananda Vigraha. Only persons who realize themselves as drishya, whose eyes see by hearing from Shastra or by chanting the holy names, may have darshan of the Satchidananda reality. So, on another occasion, he said, one who sees must do so with bhakti. A pure devotee is a servant of Bhagavan, and non-devotees are those with extraneous desires, karmis, jnanis, yogis, and the rest. If in the mood of an enjoyer we go to see Jagannath, regarding him as an object of our enjoyment, then we will simply see a maimed wooden doll and return. Some will say, Jagannath is armless Ram, a wooden doll. Others consider him a wooden mannequin with spirit inside. Oh, Brahma, what is that? The Brahma, what is that? Brahma Dravya, is it? So, the Navakalevar happens with the soul, there is a soul inside, the spiritual, soul, the Pujari can feel. And people are very mesmerized with these descriptions. But we lose the actual understanding of Jagannath there, because then we will think that oh yes, and the Jagannath body, the body is cremated in the precincts of the temple, and I don't know exactly, I'm not a very expert in this, where exactly they do it. Vishwambar Prabhu will know that. But so Navakalevar, so they have new deities, every 12 years this happens. But it is not like our body, oh, our soul is different from our body, he is also soul and different. No, his soul and body is the same. His body and his soul are non-different. There's no inside Krishna, outside Krishna. This is Mayavad. This duality does not apply to Krishna. Ekam evadvitiyam. So he is the only reality, the unified reality. So there's no difference between Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti. All these bodily parts, his inside, his outside, everything is one. Okay. So our real understanding of Jagannath will not be had if we think that I want to see Jagannath. So this will, see, if we consider ourselves drishya of Jagannath, then we will always remain sevonmukha. Because if I want to see Jagannath, that's not seva mentality. I want to enjoy Jagannath. No, but if I want Jagannath to see me, I will always remain as a sevak, as a servant. Because if I don't serve, then Jagannath is not interested in me, and I cannot live like that. So that's the mood of the devotee. That's the mood we should cultivate. So in order to remain sevonmukha, we have to understand that we are only drishya, and we are not drashta. And it is not just to maintain the mood, that is actually the reality. Even our seeing now is only possible when the Lord sees. The sun and the moon are considered the eyes of the Lord. And because of the sun, we can see. When the sunshine falls on something, then we can see. Now you may say, oh, sunshine is not there, it is dark, it is evening now, and still I am able to see. Well, all the electricity is because of the sun. So it is a transformation of sunlight, because of which we can see. Otherwise, In darkness, what can our eyes do? So if the Lord does not see, we cannot see. So even the fact that we can see is only because of the Lord can see. But if we forget that He is the primary seer, we are only the secondary seer on His mercy, then we will not understand our true position. So to always remain conscious of our true position, Drik Drishya Vichar is very, very important. The contemplation of Drik Drishya. Drik means Drashta, the seer, and the Drishya means the seen. So this is the mood in which Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura took darshan of Jagannath. So that is another aspect of Puruṣottama-kṣetra. Now we will go to a very, very important part that is foundational and at the very core of our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So he was on tour. Yes, so this is the one. So this chapter is called On Tour. So Puri 1918, how he toured the Jagannātha Purī. Let me just close this part of it. Okay, there we go. So Puri 1918. So this is a chapter on tour. See, on tour. So when he was on tour. So Puri, Jagannātha Purī. How he goes on pilgrimage. Now most of our devotees, we all have gone, we have been to Jagannātha Purī, we have been on pilgrimage there. How Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura did his pilgrimage to Jagannātha Purī with his disciples, we can learn a lot. Okay? In fact, nowadays I think in ISKCON, this is the format kind of what they follow. When they go with their disciples or groups, they have katha, they have significant. I don't know how much they follow to the standard of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, but the standard of philosophy, I say. But anyway, this is how Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura introduced the parikrama and the tirthayatra, basically. So when he was in Jagannātha Purī in 1918, this is what we can learn. Yeah? I'll read the part where he comes to Jagannātha Purī, but we can't cover everything, but we will cover the important part here about how it is. Let's see, how big is this? Okay, I think we can read this. Okay, we'll read the whole chapter. Yeah, and then there is another part which I wanted to show as well. But let's read this and see how much we can cover. I'm trying to fit in as much as possible in this session. I don't want to go too long, but let's see. So on 10th June 1918, accompanied by 23 disciples, okay, just there. How do they even, it's just see how the record of dates are there. I don't remember when I went to Jagannātha Purī, if I have to look at the passport and everything. Probably they would have published in their magazine or something like that from where the dates are gathered. But it's interesting that something that happened more than 100 years ago, we have an accurate date. And how many disciples? Not like about 20 disciples, about 20 to 25. No, 23. Like I appreciate when I read these books, this is a product of extensive research, and research is not possible unless there is record of information. So the idea that information needs to be recorded, although you do not know how it is going to pan out in the future, how it's going to be known in the future, and how it's going to be useful in the future, we sometimes discount, or we underplay, or we don't recognize the importance of just even noting down dates and seemingly mundane details. what is the use of mentioning 23 disciples when it happened? Over 23 disciples he went. We never know. We never know how it will come in use. Maybe some historical things, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya, what is that? Gauravir Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta. Jagannath Das Babaji, he found, or he attested to the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Bhaktivinoda Thakur found. But how did Bhaktivinoda Thakur find? Did you know? He consulted maps, historical maps of when the Ganga shifted and all of this. Historical maps. So you would imagine a historical map. I'm just drawing a map. We have a political maps or something. We think it is unimportant. It's a map, whatever. But it will become very, very important when you know that the world as it exists now may not exist 100 years later. It may be completely different. The countries that we live in, the borders, everything may change. And which is a fact. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there, what was known as Bharat was like a conglomerate of kingdoms, but yet it was known as Bharat, and it was extending from Afghanistan to Burma. Now it is much smaller, with many, many countries now in that place. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Burma, Tibet, Bhutan, maybe, I don't know, China may not be now. But you see, so much, Nepal there is. So in this way, so much breakup has happened, right? So that is just what? 75 years ago, there was Pakistan and India were all one. Bangladesh was one. So it becomes important. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur studied all these maps, talked to so many people, recorded his observations, and then judged, okay, these people have, their reasoning is not proper, okay, this is wrong place, this is the right place. In this way, he ascertained, of course, with his spiritual vision as well, but with all these consultation of all these things. So that's why if you see in the Anubhashya of Chaitanya Charitamrita by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, anytime there is a place mentioned, he will immediately say that. Just hold on. This is weird behavior, honestly. I don't know why it does this. Anyway, I hope we are audible and visible. I guess so. Brahma Padartha. Yes, Brahma Padartha is what they call. So, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, in his Anubhashya of Chaitanya Charitamrita, whenever there is a mention of a place, he immediately mentions the railway station nearby and how many kilometers and which direction. He mentions all these things because we never know how these will help in the future. Centuries later, when there's disputes, when there is, like today there is Ayodhya, Ram temple that was built, but 500 years ago, that was, before that there was a mosque built, and then before that there was a mandir, and that was, how do we know that happened? All these things happened because there were historians who recorded it, and the fight was recorded. So record is important. Record is important. And so recently we had a conversation about our temple website, which is in shambles right now, but we're going to work on tidying it up. I said one thing there, that we need to have a blog post for every festival that is conducted, every program that we conduct. We have to have reports of that. Like, we have an archive of a blog that we used to run, that I used to contribute to articles, our temple blog, way back in 2007, 2008, 2009. And still those articles are there. The record is there. And I was last year I found it, and I was like, wow, 17 years, what I was thinking, what I wrote there. There was a record there, and what festivals and what happened, and the photos was there. It's really very, very useful. And we did a history wall kind of project last year for Rath Yatra, that exhibit of the preaching of Krishna consciousness in Singapore, a kind of a history snapshot over the last 50 years. And it is very, very useful to have that record. So I said, but recently we don't have such record of what happened last year, what are the details. We don't have. So that's not good, actually. That's not good. Like for 100 years later, and then we are still, with all the technology, we're still not like able to record these things. What is that? So anyway, that was a long commentary on that. So this is why the sessions go very long. Anyway, coming back. So on 10th June 1918, accompanied by 23 disciples, Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura set out for Puri on his first pilgrimage cum preaching tour after accepting sannyas. So he always made it pilgrimage cum preaching tour. The first stop was at Suri Prapannashrama, and next at the remote settlement of Kwamar, Mayurbhanj, and Mayurbhanj, on the invitation of a headmaster of the local junior school who had received Harinam from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The party was met outside the township by an exuberant Kirtan group of over 100 members. Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī inaugurated another Bhaktivinoda Asan at Kwamar. Bhaktivinoda Asan, when he says Asan, Asan is like seat, a small, it's not like a full-fledged temple or anything, it's just like a small meeting place or something. So after 2 days, they set out for Remuna. 14-mile trek over hilly forest terrain was made even more cumbersome by the new monsoonal rains. Okay, you know what? We don't have time for all of this, but I will just go through the important, like the key. Everything is important. I don't say that. I don't say it is not. But the key things, okay? Gopinath. Yes, no. Okay. Now I want to come to this part. See, while proceeding, okay, so he saw one youthful boy, and he remembered the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime when he saw the boy, a beautiful boy, and he remembered Krishna. So that is there. Then okay, Sakshi Gopal. Not the Sakshi Gopal. Okay, so now this is what I want to really come to. So next day, the devotees toured many holy places of Puri while performing Sankirtan. They were with the Mridanga, Kartals and everything, they were going on a procession. And that's how they were touring all the holy places in Puri. They finally arrived at the Simhadwar gate of the Jagannath temple. Here, now please pay attention, this is very, very important. Crucial, most crucial. They finally arrived at the Simhadwar gate of the Jagannath temple. Here, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī quoted a verse spoken by the gopis, the inner significance of which is crucial for understanding Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Puri. If it is crucial for understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Puri, and if we understand the significance of the pastimes in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Puri, which constitutes the highest essence of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which is Gopi Bhava, Radharani's love for Krishna, which although not to be imitated but should be completely adored and respected, and is our ultimate ideal, right? So this is the verse 1082-48, the last verse of the 82nd chapter of the 10th canto. Ahushchate nalinanabhapadarvindam yogeshwarairhridi vichintyamagadha bodhaihi samsarakopapatitottaranāvalambam geham jushamapi manasyudiyat sadanaha. Dear Lord, the gopis said this to Krishna at Kurukshetra. Dear Lord, whose navel is like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet be wakened also within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. This seems to be like a very humble prayer by some village girls. We're ordinary people engaged in household affairs, and great mystics and yogis, they worship your feet. Your like what Kunti Devi said in her prayers. What is that? 1820. One second. Come on. I'm not going to show the screen because it's going to take some time to just go back and forth, but I'm just going to. Yes. Tatha paramahamsanam muni namamalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyemahi striyah. So she said, you yourself, Kunti Devi said to Krishna, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. So you explain this great science of Bhakti Yoga to the great Paramahamsas. How then can we women know you perfectly? We unintelligent women, we are not very intellectually advanced as these great Paramahamsas. So in a very humble way she's saying. And similarly, this verse 1082-48 that is there on the screen, that is what it appears to be, right? But it is very, very deeper than, much deeper than that. Ostensibly, on the surface, this is the meaning. But there's a hidden meaning to this prayer by the gopis. And I would like to take you there. So, just before we go there, so singing this verse to the accompaniment of mridangas and kartals, Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and his followers circumambulated the Jagannath temple. They sang this verse with mridanga kartal in singing this verse. They circumambulated Pradakshina of Jagannath Mandir. They also sang Bengali verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And these, with the indent, all these paragraphs are actually translations of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, 13th chapter, verses 137 to 147. Then we will go to that part in the Chaitanya Charitamrita now. But you see what he said, Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura stated that arousal of such feelings is the actual method of worship for Gaudiyas. After circumambulating the temple, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and his retinue entered the temple. First they took darshan of Lord Chaitanya's footprints, that's the way we should do it, and offered dandavat to them, the footprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After taking darshan of Lord Jagannath from behind the Garuda Stambha, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī recited this verse. I think it is, where is it from? Let's see. Prathama, in the Stavamala, Prathama Sri Chaitanyashtaka, 8th verse by Rupa Goswami. So what is that? Bhuvam sinchanashru Shrutibhirabhitah Sandra Pulakai Paritango Nipa Stabakanava Kinjal Kajayibhi Ghanasvedastoma Stimitatanurut Kirtana Sukhi Sachaitanya Kim Me Punarapi Drishoryāsyati Padam. While chanting the holy names, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became joyful and sprinkled the earth with showers of tears. All the hairs of his body standing on end appeared like the beautiful filaments of fresh kadamba blossoms. And his body glistened with perspiration. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? In explanation, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī described that when Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Srimati Radharani meeting Krishna at Kurukshetra, had darshan of Lord Jagannath, the tears of love that burst forth from his eyes filled the drain behind the Garuda Stambha. There's a drain, there's a depression in the thing, in the ground. It filled the drain behind the Garuda Stambha. That much tears were shed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, I will read these two paragraphs and then we will go to those verses. Okay, now the next day was Snanayatra, the festival of bathing Lord Jagannath. After observing it, Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura spent the next 2 weeks taking his party around Puri and neighboring holy places, illuminating the significance of various sites and as usual continuing to glorify Krishna wherever he went. The largest of several preaching functions was held at the estate of a prominent gentleman, during which Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura expounded the difference between personal and impersonal conceptions of the Absolute. Okay. Another thing that he mentioned, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura mentions, that Jagannātha Purī is, what did he say? Vipralambha-kṣetra. Wait. It's Vipralambha-kṣetra. I think that's the word he used, term. So, it is a place of separation from Krishna. Because Kurukshetra, it is like Kurukshetra. When Krishna, Balram and Subhadra, they came in their chariots and gopis went to meet them, and then that's where they had this ecstasy. So the greatest ecstasy that the gopis could ever have, that was had at Kurukshetra. And the Jagannātha Purī is a representation of the Kurukshetra. So it is so intimately related to Kurukshetra, Jagannātha Purī. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, only fools would consider Vrindavan to be the most auspicious place in the universe. Actually, it is Kurukshetra, because the ecstasy of the gopis was at the highest in Kurukshetra. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, actually, his desire was to retire in Kurukshetra. He mentioned that once. So, in this way, he called it Vipralambha-kṣetra. And he called Alalanath as Dvigunita Vipralambha. That means twice the degree of separation than in Jagannātha Purī. His explanation of Alalnath, which is nearby Jagannātha Purī, is, Alalnath, there is a 400 Vishnu form. But, a very, very interesting interpretation or explanation by Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, or revelation by him, was that Alalnath, the 400 form, although Vishnu form, is very intimately related with the gopis. Why? Because he says this is the Vishnu form, the 400 form, which was displayed during the Ras Leela. When Krishna when the gopis were searching for Krishna, and then Krishna assumed his four-handed Vishnu form, and the gopis came to him and they bowed down to him and asked him, "Where is Krishna? Can you please, oh Narayan, please show us where is Krishna?" They prayed to him like that. So in their separation, they did not have the same feeling towards Narayan, but their worship of Narayan, their respect of Narayan was not gone. It's not that they disrespect Narayan. Narayan, where is Krishna? Not like that. They bow down to Narayan and then asked, "Where is Krishna?" Similarly, we have done a rendition of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Narsimha prayers from Navadvip Bhavatarangam. Recently, we published a video of that rendition, but I actually want to do a lecture on that song. So there, it is the same mood. He is approaching Narsimhadev to protect his devotion to Radha Krishna. It is the same mood as the gopis in the Ras Leela. So this is the highest. So not only, so this is Dvigunita. That means twice the separation. So once in the Ras Leela when they were separated, that mood, plus the added influence of the Kurukshetra mood when they finally meet Krishna after so many years of separation. So both of them are there in Alalanath. So therefore Dvigunita. And he also called Kanyakumari as the Trigunita Vipralambha Kshetra. Thrice Kanyakumari, which is the Cape Comorin. Cape Comorin? Cape. Is that the word? I think so. So Kanyakumari is the southernmost town in India. He called that Trigunita Vipralambha Kshetra. The reasoning for that, I forget. I think the Kanyas, the Gopikas, they prayed to Katyayani, and this Kanyakumari, the Durga, he said is Katyayani, and they were praying for Krishna. So they were not with Krishna at the time, they were praying for Krishna as their husband. But for some reason he called that as Trigunita. The other part of the reasoning I don't remember very well. We can maybe go there, but I don't want to go there because I will get digressed. I would digress there. So I want to stay here. So yeah, that is important because it's Puruṣottama-kṣetra. So I'm just kind of probably stick here now. So Puruṣottama-kṣetra is Vipralambha-kṣetra and Alalanath, which is also just nearby the Puruṣottama-kṣetra, which you can say is probably part of the Puruṣottama-kṣetra or just outside on the precincts of it. So that is Dvigunita Vipralambha-kṣetra for this reason. And because our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladani Shakti Rasmat, and his whole mission in the Adalila's 6th verse, the 6th verse of the Adalila, Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yenad Bhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiyah Saukhyam Chasya Yadanubhavatah Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tadbhavadhyah Samajani Sachi Garbha Sindhau Harindu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's internal reasons for appearance is to understand Radharani's love, and the entire Gopi Bhava comes with Radharani is the highest embodiment of that, and every other rasa is subordinate to that. So the highest of the highest usually is considered the Ras Leela, but Ras Leela there is Sambhoga, there is a join of Krishna and the gopis, the meeting of Krishna and gopis and their dance. But the Vipralambha, as revealed in the Ramananda Samvada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, is the highest ecstasy, even more than Sambhoga. And Radharani also says that. What is that? Sangama viraha vikalpe varamiha viraho na sangamantasya ekasya eva sange tribhuvanamapi tanmayam virahe. So she says, among meeting and separating from Krishna, separation is better. Because when I meet Krishna, I see Krishna in front of me. When I am separated from him, I see everywhere Krishnas. the whole universe is filled with Krishnas everywhere. I want more Krishna than one Krishna. I want more of Krishna. So separation is better than meeting him. So although Raslila is the highest, in fact there is a much higher. That's why Kurukshetra is considered even higher. Jagannātha Purī, Alalnath. So these are the deeper significance of these places. Alright? So on the day before Rath Yatra, Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura read to his disciples the description of how Lord Chaitanya would thoroughly clean the Gundicha temple each year on this corresponding day. He explicated the internal meaning of this pastime, such as, just as the Gundicha temple must be cleansed immaculately to make it fit to receive the Lord, so must the heart of a devotee. As had Lord Chaitanya and his associates, Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and his retinue swept and washed the Gundicha temple and adjacent Narasimha temple, and then bathed in the nearby Indradyumna Sarovar. The next day, they chanted in front of Jagannath's cart, especially singing a verse that Lord Chaitanya would recite during Rath Yatra. Śrīla Prananatha Paino, Jaha lagi madana dahane jhuri genu. Śrīla Prananatha Paino, Jaha lagi madana dahane jhuri genu. Now I have gained the Lord of my life, in the absence of whom I was being burned by Cupid and was withering away. So that was the mood in which Radharani and the gopis felt, in which they were feeling when they met Krishna in Kurukshetra. And that is the mood because of after Snanayatra, there is Lord Jagannath could not be seen in the Jagannath Mandir, and there is the separation from Jagannath. And then finally, when they see him on Rath Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing these lines, which is in Madhya Lila, chapter 13, text 113. So they used to chant this as well. Okay, so now let's go to that circumambulation. So he said Gundicha Mandir is like the heart. Gundicha Mandir represents the heart of everyone, and the pulling of the Jagannath is actually pulling of the Jagannath from Jagannath Mandir to Gundicha Mandir is actually pulling the Lord into our heart. So just as the gopis wanted to take him to Vrindavan. So let us now go to this very cryptic verse, 1082-48. Beautiful, beautiful verse. This one in our Chaitanya Charitamrita, and let's study that. Let me change the source here, screen. Okay. Madhya 1.81, but also in 13.136. Okay. This is 136 and 137 onwards. The description of this verse, the interpretation of this verse by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given there. But I would want to backtrack a little bit and start from 13.113. Śrīla Prananatha Paino, Jaha lagi madana dahane jhuri genu. From that, so it's quite many verses behind, but we will get a whole picture there. Śrīla Prananatha Paino, Jaha lagi madana dahane jhuri genu. Śrīla Prananatha Paino, Jaha lagi madana dahane jhuri genu. Now I have gained the Lord of my life, in the absence of whom I was being burned by Cupid and was withering away. So this song refers to Srimati Radharani's meeting with Krishna at the holy place of Kurukshetra. Okay. So she remembered his intimate association in Vrindavan, and she thought, now I have gained the Lord of my life. In his absence, I was being burned by the arrow of Cupid, and thus I was withering away, and now I have my life again. So, when this refrain was loudly sung by Swarup Damodar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again began rhythmically dancing in transcendental bliss. So it was repeatedly being, refrain means it sometimes is repeatedly chanted to reinforce the mood and the meaning. So the car of Lord Jagannath began to move slowly while the son of Mother Sachi went ahead and danced in front. While dancing and singing, all the devotees in front of Lord Jagannath kept their eyes on him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the end of the procession with the Sankirtan performers behind. His eyes and mind fully absorbed in Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to play the drama of the song with his two arms. So this song, Sheta Prana Nathapayanu, Jahalagi Madana Hane Jhuri Genu. So he began to play the drama of the song with his two arms. Gaura jadi pache chole shama hoy sthire, Gaura aage chole shama chole dhire dhire. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dramatically enacting the song, he would sometimes fall behind in the procession. At such times, Lord Jagannath would come to a standstill. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again went forward in front of Jagannath's car, the Jagannath's car would slowly start again. Ei mata gaura shame dohe thela theli, swarat he shame re rakhe gaura mahabali. Thus there was a sort of competition between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath in seeing who would lead. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strong that he made Lord Jagannath wait in his car. In his Anubhashya, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura describes the ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows. After giving up the company of the gopis, so you see, he is now connecting it to the Vrindavan pastimes here, so that we understand the full significance. After giving up the company of the gopis in Vrindavan, Sri Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, engaged in his pastimes at Dwarka. When Krishna went to Kurukshetra with his brother and sister and others from Dwarka, he again met the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalita, that is, Krishna himself assuming the part of Srimati Radharani in order to understand Krishna. Lord Jagannath Dev is Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's leading Lord Jagannath toward the Gundicha temple corresponded to Srimati Radharani's leading Krishna toward Vrindavan. Sri Kshetra Jagannātha Purī was taken as the kingdom of Dwarka, the place where Krishna enjoys supreme opulence, but he was being led by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Vrindavan, the simple village where all the inhabitants are filled with ecstatic love for Krishna. Sri Kshetra is a place of Aishwarya Leela, just as Vrindavan is the place of Madhurya Leela. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's following at the rear of the Rath indicated that Lord Jagannath, Krishna, was forgetting the inhabitants of Vrindavan. You know, this is what happened when Akrura came to take Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. That was the last that the gopis saw. And they went behind the chariot, and the chariot was going in front and went to Mathura, and the gopis were behind. And that was the separation. And the gopis felt that, he was forgetting our Vrindavan and he's leaving and he's never to come back. When he will come back. And in that way, many years, about 100 years, he spent in Mathura and later Dwaraka. And finally, after all those years, there was a meeting again in Kurukshetra. Just imagine. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is explaining this whole Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing, and then in that ecstasy, he fell behind and the chariot was going in front, as if, that Krishna is forgetting Radharani and all the gopis in Vrindavan. So that picture. So now in Kurukshetra, she wants to lead him back to Vrindavan. So that's the competition between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath that is going on. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's following at the rear of the Rath indicated that Lord Jagannath, Krishna, was forgetting the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Although Krishna neglected the inhabitants of Vrindavan, he could not forget them. Thus, in his opulent Rath Yatra, he was returning to Vrindavan. In the role of Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was examining whether the Lord still remembered the inhabitants of Vrindavan. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell behind the Rath car, Jagannath Dev, Krishna himself understood the mind of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Jagannath sometimes fell behind the dancing. Therefore, Jagannath sometimes fell behind the dancing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to indicate to Srimati Radharani that he had not forgotten. So you see, it appears, the cart stopped and everything, but you see the deeper meanings of these things. This is how he's explaining very nicely. The intense mood. It is not simply something happening or something happening. It's very, very intense. Every moment is very intense there. Therefore, Jagannath sometimes fell behind the dancing. Okay, so this we have indicating that he indicate to Srimati Radharani that he had not forgotten. Thus, Lord Jagannath would stop the forward march of the Rath and wait at a standstill. And nobody can pull the Rath or push the Rath after that when the Lord decides to stand. It's not that the people have stopped. No, they want to pull, but the chariot could not move because Jagannath did not want to move. For various reasons, Jagannath did this for many devotees, but in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this was the reason. So in this way, Lord Jagannath agreed that without the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, he could not feel satisfied. While Jagannath was thus waiting, Gaurasundar Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, immediately came forward to Krishna. At such times, Lord Jagannath would proceed ahead very slowly. These competitive exchanges were all part of the loving affair between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. In that competition between Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy for Jagannath and Jagannath's ecstasy for Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emerged successful. Such beautiful. That's why I wanted to read this part. This whole thing. So we understand really how important this is to our Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which is predicated on Radharani's love for Krishna being the highest. Our most worshipable ideal of devotion is Srimati Radharani. And from these pastimes we can understand. Nachite nachite prabhur hoila bhavantar hastatuli shloka pade kori uchcheswar. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, his ecstasy changed. Raising his two arms, he began to recite the following verse in a loud voice. Yah kaumara harah sa eva hi varas ta eva chaitrakshapas te chonmilita malate surabhayah praudhah kadambanila sa chaivasmi tathapi tatra surata vyapara lila vidho रेवारोधसि वेतसि तरुतले चेतः samutkanthate. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. Purport. This appears in the Padyavali 386. So, Radharani wants to go back to Vrindavan with him. We are all the same people, but I don't like in this place. It's not the same. Go back to Vrindavan. That mood. So this is very much tied to 1082:48. We will study that. So we are building up to that verse now. Okay. Ei shloka Mahaprabhu pode bar bar swarup vina artha ke ho na jane ihar. This verse was recited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. But for Swarup Damodar, no one could understand its meaning. এই শ্লোকার্থ পূর্বে করে আছে ব্যাখ্যান শ্লোকের ভাবার্থ করে সংক্ষেপে আখ্যান. I have already explained this verse. Now I shall simply describe it in brief. In this connection, Madhya Lila chapter 1 verses 53, 77 to 80 and 80 to 84 may be read. I mean, we can go there, but I don't know if we will have enough time. Okay, we will go there because I am thinking I will not cover some other part of Puruṣottama-kṣetra-Māhātmya. I mean, Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's pastimes on Puruṣottama-kṣetra. It's very nice, but I don't know we will have time for that. So, okay, 153. At those times, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit Lord Jagannath. Then his feelings exactly corresponded to those of the gopis when they saw Krishna at Kurukshetra after long separation. Krishna had come to Kurukshetra with his brother and sister to visit. Okay, now going back. 77 to 80. Okay. A shlokartha. What shlokartha is this? Priyah soyam Krishnah sahachari Kurukshetra militas tathaham saradha tadidam ubhayo sangama sukham tathapyantah khelan madhura murali panchamajushe manome kalindi pulina vipinaya sprihayati. This is a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still I would like to go to the bank of the Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. This is 387. That was 386. So, same meaning. Now, devotees, please hear a brief explanation of this verse. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking in this way after having seen the Jagannath deity. Shri Radhika Kurukshetre Krishnera Darshan Yadyapi Payana Tabu Bhavena Aichan. The subject of his thoughts was Srimati Radharani, who met Krishna on the field of Kurukshetra. Although she met Krishna there, she was nonetheless thinking of him in the following way. Rajavesha Hati Ghoda Manushya Gahan Kaha Gopavesha Kaha Nirjan Vrindavan. She thought of him in the calm and quiet atmosphere of Vrindavan, dressed as a cowherd boy. But at Kurukshetra, he was in a royal dress and was accompanied by elephants, horses, and crowds of men. Thus, the atmosphere was not congenial for their meeting. That's the point. Shai Bhava Shai Krishna Shai Vrindavan Jabe Paye Tabe Hoye Vanchita Puran. Thus, meeting with Krishna and thinking of the Vrindavan atmosphere, Radharani longed for Krishna to take her to Vrindavan again to fulfill her desire in that calm atmosphere. Then this comes. Ahuschate nalinana bhapadāravindam. So this verse comes. Then 82 to 84, right? So yeah, okay, we will read this verse. Ahuschate nalinana bhapadāravindam yogeshvarair hridi vicintyamagadha bodhaihi samsārakūpapatito taranārava samsārakūpapatito taranāvalambam geham jusham api manasyudiyat sadana. The gopis spoke thus. Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. That looks like a simple prayer, but it's highly cryptic. Tomara charana mora vrajapura ghare udaya kare jadi tabe vancha pure. The gopis thought, Dear Lord, if your lotus feet again come to our home in Vrindavan, our desires will be fulfilled. See, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, see how much he gave explanation about this. That's why it is so important, this thing. In his Anubhashya, Śrīla Bhaktissidhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura comments, The gopis are purely engaged in the service of the Lord without motive. They are not captivated by the opulence of Krishna, nor by the understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naturally, the gopis were inclined to love Krishna, for he was an attractive young boy of Vrindavan village. Being village girls, they were not very much attracted to the field of Kurukshetra, where Krishna was present with elephants, horses, and royal dress. Indeed, they did not very much appreciate Krishna in that atmosphere. Krishna was not attracted by the opulence or personal beauty of the gopis, but by their pure devotional service. Similarly, the gopis were attracted to Krishna as a cowherd boy, not in sophisticated guise. Lord Krishna is inconceivably powerful. To understand him, great yogis and saintly persons give up all material engagements and meditate upon him. Similarly, those who are overly attracted to material enjoyment, to enhancement of material opulence, to family maintenance, or to liberation from the entanglements of this material world, take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But such activities and motivations are unknown to the gopis. You see? They are not at all expert in executing such auspicious activities. Already transcendently enlightened, they simply engage their purified senses in the service of the Lord in the remote village of Vrindavan. The gopis are not interested in dry speculation in the arts, in music, or other conditions of material life. They are bereft of all understanding of material enjoyment and renunciation. Their only desire is to see Krishna return and enjoy spiritual transcendental pastimes with them. The gopis want him simply to stay in Vrindavan so that they can render service unto him for his pleasure. There is not even a tinge of personal sense gratification. Very, very deep. We will go more in the Madhya chapter 13, but I'm just going to read the next verse as well. Bhagavatera shloka gudhartha vishada koriya Rupa Gosai shloka koilo loka bujhaiya. In one verse, Śrīla Rupa Goswami has explained the confidential meaning of the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam for the understanding of the general populace. Yate lila rasa parimalodgari vanya parita dhanya kshoni vilasati vrita mathuri madhuri bhi tatrasmabhischatula pashupi bhava mugdhantarabhi Samvitastvam kalaya vadanollasi venurviharam. Such beautiful verses he composes, Rupa Goswami. Especially this meter, Sragdhara, it's so beautiful. Anyway, the gopis continued, Dear Krishna, the fragrance of the mellows of your pastimes is spread throughout the forests of the glorious land of Vrindavan, which is surrounded by the sweetness of the district of Mathura. In the congenial atmosphere of that wonderful land, you may enjoy your pastimes with your flute dancing on your lips and surrounded by us, the gopis, whose hearts are always enchanted by unpredictable ecstatic emotions. This is a verse from Lalita Madhav 1038 by Śrīla Rupa Goswami. Ei mata Mahaprabhu dekhi Jagannāthe Subhadra sahita dekhe vamshinahi hate. So beautiful, so beautiful. Every time I read this, I get goosebumps. It's like so, you know that 1080 to 48, they are saying, okay, the entire meaning of that is so beautiful. And this verse 85 captures that. Ei mata Mahaprabhu dekhi Jagannāthe Subhadra sahita dekhe vamshinahi hate. In this way, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath, he saw that the Lord was with his sister and Subhadra and was not holding a flute in his hand. And it's important that he was not holding a flute in his hand. You know, sometimes I see these paintings of Jagannath, with Jagannath face, but then Krishna body with flute. I don't know how bona fide they are. Maybe they are, I don't know. Maybe there is some rasa explanation of that, but Vamshina hi hate. So that is a huge emotional draw for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because she wants to see him with the Vamshi, with the flute in Vrindavan. Because if you see the 84, Venur Viharam, Vadanollasi Venur Viharam, the last two words. So Vadana on the mouth, Ullasi playing, Venu with the flute, playful pastimes. So in Vrindavan, he always had his flute. That flute is no more there, and therefore it's not the same mood. We want to hear the flute. Gopis used to run from their homes in the dead of night, hearing the flute of Krishna. Now, Vamshina hi hate. There's no flute. The mood is different. Now you have kingly accessories like bow and arrow, or gada, like Balram has gada, chakra, Shankha chakra and all this you have, but you don't have the Venu. Vamshi nahi hate. So that's the beauty of that. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is looking at Jagannath and longing for the time in Vrindavan with the flute in hand. With that mood he wants to see. Shyamam tribhanga lalitam niyata prakasham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So, the flute, what is that? Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksham barhavatam samasitam buddhasundarangam. So that is the thing that they want to see. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksham barhavatam samasitam buddhasundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The verse before, Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra shata sambhrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Who is this Lakshmi sahasra shata sambhrama sevyamanam? Gopis. Thousands and millions of Lakshmi, the gopis, are serving him as he is standing with Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This is the image of Krishna that the gopis have in their hearts. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. Now, Jagannath, Vamshina hi hate. Tribhanga Sundara Vraje Vrajendra Nandan Kaha Pabo Eivancha Bade Anukshan. Absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished to see Lord Jagannath in his original form as Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, standing in Vrindavan and appearing very beautiful, his body curved in three places. Lord Chaitanya's desire to see that form was always increasing. Now, if we go back, okay, that's 80 to 84, but we have gone all the way to 86 and 87. Okay, so 88 says this. 87, let's see. Radhika unmad jai che. Okay, did we actually read? Yeah. Radhika unmad jai che uddhava darshane udghurna pralapatai che prabhur ratri dine. Just as Srimati Radharani talked inconsistently with a bumblebee in the presence of Uddhava, again, that is Vipralambha. That's why the Brahmara Gita is a Vipralambha subject, which is very, very dear to Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy talked crazily and inconsistently day and night. This Unmada madness is not ordinary madness. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked inconsistently, almost like a crazy fellow, he was in the transcendental ecstasy of love. In the highest transcendental ecstasy, there is a feeling of being enchanted in the presence of the enchanter. So, you see, the madness of Srimati Radharani was explained to Krishna by Uddhava, who said, "My dear Krishna, because of extreme feelings of separation from you, Srimati Radharani is sometimes making her bed in the groves of the forest, sometimes rebuking a bluish cloud, and sometimes wandering about in the dense darkness of the forest. Thus, she has become like a crazy woman." Now, where exactly he said this? I think it is Lalita Madhava, maybe. I'm guessing, because it's in quotation marks, but this definitely is not there in the Bhagavatam. Or probably it is, I don't know. Because Radharani is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam explicitly. Dvadasha Vatsara Shesha Aiche Goaila Eimata Shesha Lila Trividhane Koila. The last 12 years of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passed in this transcendental craziness. Thus, he executed his last pastimes in 3 ways. So, okay, so we will go back to this part, 13.123, resume this series again. 124. Purve jache Kurukshetra Sava Gopi Gana Krishnera Darshana Paya Ananditaman. Formerly, all the gopis of Vrindavan were very pleased when they met with Krishna in the holy place Kurukshetra. Yes, so the thing that I forgot to mention about Kurukshetra is, after almost 100 years of separation, they met Krishna at Kurukshetra. So it is technically meeting, but in that meeting was an extraordinary feeling of impending separation that would happen eventually. That was to happen soon. So that is even more painful, or transcendently painful, which is more of ecstasy. So that is the thing about Kurukshetra. Jagannātha dekhi prabhur সেই ভাব উঠিল সেই ভাবাবিষ্ট হইয়া ধুইয়া গাও যাইল. Similarly, after seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awoke with the ecstasy of the gopis. Being absorbed in this ecstasy, he asked Swarup Damodar to sing the refrain. Sheta Parananatha Painu Jaha Lage Madana Dahane Jhuri Genu अवशेषे राधा कृष्णे करे निवेदन সেই তুমি সেই আমি সেই নবসঙ্গম. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke thus to Lord Jagannath: "You are the same Krishna and I am the same Radharani. We are meeting again in the same way that we met in the beginning of our lives." In the beginning of our lives. That means the love has never gone down. It has become so, in fact, so much more intense that it is continuing with the same or even greater intensity. तथापि आमार मन हरे वृंदावन वृंदावने उदय कराओ आपन चरण. वृंदावने उदय कराओ आपन चरण. Although we are both the same, my mind is still attracted to Vrindavan Dham. I wish that you will please again appear with your lotus feet in Vrindavan. This is the actual meaning of that 1082-48 verse. So we are building up to that. इहाँ लोकारण्य हाथी घोड़ा रथ ध्वनि ताहाँ पुष्पारण्य भृंग पिकनाद सुनि. In Kurukshetra, there are crowds of people, elephants and horses, and also the rattling of chariots. But in Vrindavan, there are flower gardens, and the humming of the bees and chirping of the birds can be heard. इहाँ राजवेश संगे सब क्षत्रिय गण, ताहाँ गोपवेश संगे मुरली वदन. Here at Kurukshetra, you are dressed like a royal prince, accompanied by great warriors, but in Vrindavan, you appeared just like an ordinary cowherd boy, accompanied only by your beautiful flute. व्रजे तोमार संगे जय सुख आस्वादन, সেই সুখ সমুদ্রের ইহা নাহি এক কণ. व्रजे তোমার সঙ্গে যে সুখ आस्वादन, সেই সুখ সমুদ্রের ইহা নাহি এক ক্ষণ, নাহি এক কণ. Here there is not even a drop of the ocean of transcendental happiness that I enjoyed with you in Vrindavan. আমালইয়া পুনঃ লীলা করহ বৃন্দাবনে, তবে আমার মনোবাঞ্ছা হয়তো পূরণে. I therefore request you to come to Vrindavan and enjoy pastimes with me. If you do so, my ambition will be fulfilled. भागवते आछे जय छे राधिका वचन, पूर्वे ताहा सूत्र मध्ये करियाछि वर्णन. I have already described in brief Srimati Radharani's statement from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are getting there. সেই ভাবাবেশে প্রভু পড়ে আর শ্লোক, সেই সব শ্লোকের অর্থ নাহি বুঝে লোক. In that ecstatic mood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited many other verses. But people in general could not understand their meaning. स्वरूप गोसाई जाने ना को है अर्थ तार, श्री रूप गोसाई कोइलो से अर्थ प्रचार. The meaning of those verses was known to Swarup Damodar Goswami, but he did not reveal it. However, Sri Rupa Goswami has broadcast the meaning. स्वरूप संगे जार अर्थ करे आस्वादन, नृत्य मध्ये से श्लोक करे न पठन. While dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the following verse, which he tasted in association of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Now again we come to that verse. आहुश्चते नलिननाभपदारविन्दं, योगेश्वरैर्हृदि विचिन्त्यमगाधबोधैः, संसारकूपपतितोत्तरणावलम्बं, गेहं जुषामपि मनस्युदयात् सदानः. The gopis spoke thus, Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Okay, so pay attention to all the things that are saying here. Your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Okay. Now, that looks like such a humble prayer, and such a beautiful prayer for even us, for us to, chant and meditate upon. But there is such transcendental sarcasm in this, and I think now we will go through that meaning from 137 to 147. Okay. So purport, we will read the purport as well. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1080-48. The gopis were never interested in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Okay, so try to understand here. Why did they say this word? Yogeshwarair Hridi Vichintyam Agadha Bodhaihi. What is Yogeshwara? Yogeshwaraihi, by great mystic yogis, Agadha Bodhaihi, who are highly learned philosophers. Okay? So they are saying, your feet are worshipped by these great yogis and jnanis, but you see here, the gopis were never interested in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. They were simply interested in Bhakti Yoga. unless they were forced, they never liked to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. Rather, they preferred to take the lotus feet of the Lord and place them on their breasts. You see? Sometimes they regretted that their breasts were so hard, fearing that Krishna might not be very pleased to keep his soft lotus feet there. When those lotus feet were pricked by the grains of sand in the Vrindavan pasturing ground, the gopis were pained and began to cry. The gopis wanted to keep Krishna at home always, and in this way their minds were absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, just before we go further. So what he's saying here, Prabhupada is actually revealing the mood here. When they said, oh, your lotus feet are meditated upon by these great yogis and jnanis, what the gopis are actually saying there, the yogis and jnanis may be interested in all of that philosophy that you're preaching, because Krishna actually spoke a lot of philosophy in the 82nd chapter. You know? Okay, maybe to understand, we will go 1080 to 48 and go a little bit before that. And we will get a kind of understanding. Let me see here. 1082. So, okay, 1080 to 41. I'm just going these different rabbit holes, but you will appreciate it once you understand the significance of it. Okay, 1080 to 41. All right. Apismaratha naha sakhyah swanamartha chikirshaya gatam chirayitam chatru pakshak shapana chetasaha. Lord Krishna said to the gopis, my dear girlfriends, do you still remember me? It was for my relatives' sake that I stayed away so long, intent on destroying my enemies. He's trying to pacify them when he saw the gopis. Apyavadhyayathasman svid akrita jnavishankaya nunam bhutani bhagavan yunakti viyunakti cha. Do you perhaps think that I am ungrateful and thus hold me in contempt? After all, it is the Supreme Lord who brings living beings together and then separates them. So, the Supreme Lord brings us together and separates us. So, he's speaking philosophy here. Oh, don't be so this thing. Don't be. So, he's trying to pacify them with philosophy. So Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura reveals the gopis' thoughts. We are not like you, who, with your heart shattered by remembering us day and night, gave up all sense enjoyment in your distress of separation. Rather, we have not remembered you at all. In fact, we have been quite happy without you. It's their own feminine, tantrum. That was the feeling of the gopis. So Krishna was responding to that. Do you have contempt for me because you think that I'm ungrateful? Time separates us and brings us together, so we should not be so. So he was talking big philosophy there. In response, Krishna here asked whether they resent his ingratitude. So next. Vayuryatha ghananikam trinam tulam rajam sicha samyojya kshipate bhuyas tatha bhutani bhutakrit. And these are all valid philosophical points, all right? Okay. Just as the wind brings together masses of clouds, blades of grass, wisps of cotton, and particles of dust only to scatter them all again, so the Creator deals with his created beings in the same way. Absolutely valid philosophical point. Then he says, Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam amritatvaya kalpate dishtya yadasin matsneho bhavatinam madapanah. Rendering devotional service to me qualifies any living being for eternal life. But by your good fortune, you have developed a special loving attitude toward me, by which you have obtained me. According to Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti, the gopis then replied, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura makes it a dialogue. So although Krishna is speaking continuously in the Bhagavatam verses, Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura made it into a dialogue. So Krishna says one thing and gopis say another thing, and then Krishna responds to that. Is that allowed? One may ask. Scripture is saying one thing, how can I kind of insert my own this thing? So it is never inserted into the Bhagavatam. It is only a commentary. This is Bhashya. So the feelings of the gopis. Now Krishna is speaking, but the thoughts of the gopis are like responses, and Krishna can read the thoughts. For him, it is like speaking, and our thinking and our speaking is the same for him, because he can read our thoughts better than we can, and he can understand our thoughts better than we can put our words to. So it is not illogical for there to be a conversation between the gopis and Krishna here, even though it may be in the realm of thought or in the words, whichever way it happened. Although the Srimad Bhagavatam does not give us the verbal exchange like that, but it is still valid, and especially so when the acharyas, the bona fide acharyas, write it. We can't now imagine things, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is not imagining; he is seeing in his spiritual vision, and he's explaining these things. So the bhashya of Arsha Vijnana Vakya Nahi Dosha Esab. There is no fault in the rishis, the bona fide devotees, pure devotees of Krishna. All right. So with that understanding, let's read the purport. According to Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the gopis then replied, "But that Supreme Lord you are blaming is none other than yourself, O most clever of speakers. You're trying to preach us philosophy. Okay. Oh, Supreme Lord brings us together. Hello, you are the Supreme Lord. Everyone in the world knows this. Why should we be ignorant of this fact? All right." Lord Krishna then told them, "If this is true, I must be God, but still I am conquered by your loving affection." He's still trying to kind of negotiate peace here. They are trying to go on the offensive. They are trying to argue here. But all of this is loving affairs. But so it's very interesting. Aham hi sarva bhutanam adir antontaram bahih bhautikanam yatha khamvar bhurvayur jyotiranganah. Dear ladies, I am the beginning and the end of all created beings and exist both within and without them, just as the elements ether, water, air, earth, and fire are the beginning and end of all material objects and exist both within and without them. So he is telling that although I am far away, actually I am with you also because I am everywhere, which is also correct. Krishna is not wrong. The gopis are not satisfied with that. According to Srila Sridhar Swami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Lord Krishna implies the following idea in this verse. If you know that I am the Supreme Lord, because they said you are the Supreme Lord, and you are saying, oh, the Supreme Lord brings us together, don't play with words, you clever speaker. So then Krishna's reply to that thought of the gopis, if you know that I am the Supreme Lord, then there should be no question of your suffering any separation from me, since I pervade all existence. Your unhappiness must be due to a lack of discrimination. Therefore, please take this instruction from me, which will remove your ignorance. You're ignorant. So, you have a lack of discrimination. So, although these are all valid philosophical points, very serious philosophical points, these are the kind of points he made in Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita even. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matta sarvam pravartate. All of this, he said in Bhagavad Gita. He's saying the same thing to the gopis, but with the gopis, with the madhurya flavor, it became whatever Krishna was speaking, although very, very valid and very high philosophy, for the gopis, this was nothing. Come on, don't play with words like this. Then Krishna also was playing actually words. He's having a very playful conversation with the gopis, although it's a very serious instruction. See how Krishna is so perfect that he's giving such serious instructions, but he's having such wonderful play of words with the gopis at the same time. Who can speak serious words and joking words at the same time? Krishna can. Here is the proof. This is the glory of Puruṣottama-kṣetra. This is the mood in which it is. So that's why we are reading this. We are studying this. So it's okay. So if you know that I am the Supreme Lord, there should be no question of your suffering any separation from me, since I pervade all existence. Your unhappiness must be due to a lack of discrimination. So I'm giving this instruction so your ignorance will be removed. So please take this very high philosophy. But the truth of the matter is that you gopis were in your previous lives great masters of yoga, and thus you must already know the signs of Jnana Yoga. Furthermore, and which is also a fact, which is a fact. All of these are facts, and yet they are jokes. Beautiful. Furthermore, whether I try to teach this to you in person or through my representatives such as Uddhava, it will not produce the desired result. Jnana Yoga simply causes suffering for those who are fully immersed in pure love of Godhead. Very interesting. Very nice. Very nicely put. So 46, next verse. Evam hyetani bhutani bhuteshvatmatmana tatah ubhayam mayyatha pare Puruṣottama-kṣetra-māhātmya. In this way, all created things reside within the basic elements of creation, while the spirit souls pervade the creation, remaining in their own true identity. You should see both of these, the material creation and the self, as manifest within me, the imperishable supreme truth, which is very deep philosophical points. All of these are very deep philosophical points. But with the gopis, it becomes a joke. And this joking side of the joking aspect of these seemingly not only serious instructions but also very compassionate instructions by Krishna to the gopis to lessen their separation, to lessen their burning separation. There is compassionate, there is compassion, there is a master-like instruction, master to disciple kind of instructions here. And also there is absolute highest level of conjugal joking, and for Krishna it's like a joke or kind of play of words, but gopis are very serious about it. We want you back, you are talking big words here. So all of that. So of course this is more okay, so this part we will read. A jnani with realization of these facts should feel no separation from the Lord in any situation, because he understands everything, inside and outside of everything is the Lord, and one can always contact the Lord just by chanting his name and remembering him. We don't need to kind of go somewhere to meet him. So in that way the gopis will be satisfied. That was Krishna's mood, one of the moods of Krishna, one of the aspects of the moods of Krishna here, because there are different aspects to the same conversation, right? But the gopis of Vraja are much more elevated in their Krishna consciousness than ordinary jnanis. Karmebhyaha. That verse is there in the Nectar of Instruction. Okay, so let's read this purport and we'll go there. Because of their intense love for Krishna in his most human-like, all-attractive aspect of a young cowherd boy, Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, covered their knowledge of his majestic aspects, such as his all-pervasiveness. Thus, the gopis were able to relish the intense ecstasy caused by their love in separation from him. If they are aware of the fact that he is everywhere, there will be no separation. Oh, I am with Krishna. But by forgetting that, by Yogamaya's influence, they now remember his pastimes and feel the separation, and in that separation is actually the highest meeting. This is the harmonization of all conundrums. Thus the gopis were able to relish the intense ecstasy caused by the love and separation from him. Only in jest is Sri Krishna ascribing to them a lack of spiritual discrimination. See, he's joking, he's jesting with them. Jest means like joking, but they are very serious about it, and he's joking. This is very a very interesting dynamic of this conversation that is going on between them. And let me take to that NOI 11 in NOI 10. Karmibhyah parito hareः priyataya vyaktim yayurjnaninas tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti paramah premaikanisthastata tebhyastah pashupala pankaja drishas tabhyopi saradhika preshtha tadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tam nashrayet kah kriti. This verse now has so much more depth in the meaning when we look at it through that conversation there. Okay. We will understand this even more when we read more of these verses as we go. Okay, so here in the Shastra it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kunda and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhava, render loving service to the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kunda are the most fortunate people in the universe. And this now has so much more meaning when we see it through the lens of those verses there that we are studying right now. And now, 47, Sri Shuka Uvacha, Adhyatma Shikshaya Gopya, Evam Krishnena Shikshitaha, Tadanusmaranadhvasta Jiva Koshastammadhyagan. Shukadeva Goswami said, having thus been instructed by Krishna in spiritual matters, the gopis were freed of all tinges of false ego because of their incessant meditation upon him. And with their deepening absorption in him, they came to understand him fully. This description is the external feature of that conversation. The internal feature, Srila Prabhupada renders this passage as follows in Krishna. The gopis, having been instructed by Krishna in his philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference, remained always in Krishna consciousness and thus became liberated from all material contamination. The consciousness of the living entity who falsely presents himself as the enjoyer of the material world is called Jiva Kosha, which means imprisonment by the false ego. Not only the gopis, but anyone who follows these instructions of Krishna is immediately freed from the Jiva Kosha imprisonment. A person in full Krishna consciousness is always liberated from false egoism. He utilizes everything for Krishna's service and is not at any time separated from Krishna. Now, this is the external look of the conversation. But this is what the gopis said. Ahushchate nalinanabha padaravindam. Ahushchate nalinanabha padaravindam yogeshwarair hridi vichintyamagadha bodhaihim samsara kopa patito taranāvalambam geham jusham api manasyudiyat sadana. The gopis spoke thus, Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by the great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Because Krishna spoke such high philosophy, this was their reply. But in this there is such sarcasm. We will now study that. Okay. Okay. So that's why the gopis were never interested in karma yoga, jnana yoga, or dhyana yoga. They were simply interested in bhakti yoga. Unless they were forced, they never liked to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. Rather, they preferred to keep them on their breasts. And we have read this part. The gopis wanted to keep Krishna at home always. And in this way, their minds were absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Such pure Krishna consciousness can arise only in Vrindavan. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to explain his own mind. Now, he began to explain his own mind, which was saturated in the ecstasy of the gopis. When he explains his own mind, he's actually elaborating on this verse now. Anyera hridayaman morman Vrindavan mane vane ek kore jani taha tomara padadvaya Koraho jadi udaya, tobe tomara purna kripa mani. Speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, for most people, the mind and heart are one. But because my mind is never separated from Vrindavan, I consider my mind and Vrindavan to be one. My mind is already Vrindavan, and since you are like Vrindavan, and since you like Vrindavan, will you please place your lotus feet there? I would deem that your full mercy. So, always, when we read this part, please always remember the 1082-48 verse. Why? How is that? How is this verse related to that? We should know, because this is the explanation of that verse. This few verses, 11 verses. So, mind. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts. What is the actual meaning of that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing here that my heart is Vrindavan. Please put your lotus feet in Vrindavan. Don't put your lotus feet in this. Enough. Come to Vrindavan. Enough of this Kurukshetra and Dwaraka, Mathura and all. Come to Vrindavan. That is what is happening here. I would deem that your full mercy. Okay, so Prabhupada is explaining very nicely the philosophy, but we'll just go to the verses now and read. Of course, these are all in our level. We are not in the gopis level, right? But in our level, these are all our mind, our heart must be like Vrindavan. So it has to be, there should be no tinge of materialism in the heart. All that is also true, and that is what Prabhupada is explaining nicely in the purport. But we are just exploring the gopi bhava of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy here, the gopis' ecstasy here. Prananath shuno mor satya nivedan, vraja amar sadan, taha tomar sangam, na paile na rahe jivan. My dear Lord, kindly hear my true submission. My home is Vrindavan, and I wish your association there. But if I do not get it, then it will be very difficult for me to keep my life. So she said, Geham Jusham. Did you see that in that verse? Going back to that verse. Geham Jusham api manasi. Geham Jusham means what? Those engaged in family affairs. But Geham means house, home, Vrindavan. So she's saying, come to our home in Vrindavan. We are engaged there, in the pastimes there. She did not mean her home, her house. So, the external meaning and internal meaning. So, my home. So, Geham Jusham, we are engaged in our home there, but my home is Vrindavan. I wish your association there, your feet to be in Vrindavan. पूर्वे उद्धव द्वारे एबे साक्षात अमारे योग ज्ञाने को हिला उपाय तुम्ही विदग्ध कृपामय जानहो आमार हृदय मोरे अच्छे कहिते ना जुजाय. My dear Krishna, formerly when you were staying in Mathura, you sent Uddhava to teach me speculative knowledge and mystic yoga. Now you yourself are speaking the same thing, but my mind doesn't accept it. So this is the thing that is going on. So Krishna spoke such philosophical points. Radharani is saying, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani is saying, you taught me big philosophy through, you sent Uddhava and taught me big philosophy. Now you yourself are speaking big philosophy. My mind doesn't accept it. There is no place in my mind for Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Although you know me very well, you are still instructing me in Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga. It is not right for you to do so. You're not supposed to teach me all these things. Don't do this to me. Don't tease me like this. Why is he? How come this is the explanation of that verse? Okay, let's go back to that verse again. Here, Yogeshwarair Hriday Vichantyamagadha Bodhaihim. So the yogis, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen. Okay, no. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. Yeah, that means, although this is correct, factually correct, but her mood is like, your philosophy and your feet are meditation on your feet, you're talking about all these things, is good for the yogis and philosophers. Go and teach them all these things. Don't come and teach me these things. You come to Vrindavan. I want your feet there. Feet on the ground. Walk your talk. Come to Vrindavan and Geham Jusham. Jusham means actually engaging in household affairs or enjoying household affairs. So we want to enjoy, we want to, of course, the word enjoy here means serve Krishna. We want to serve you in Vrindavan. Don't come and teach me meditation and all of this, Paramatma, Antaryami, and all. Don't teach me all these things. You teach that, go and teach that to the Yogeshwari and the Jnanis and Yogis. Don't come and teach me these things. You should not do that. You sent Uddhava before, now you yourself are coming. Don't do that to me. Look at her argument. Of course, Prabhupada is giving a very formal philosophical points here, and it is very much necessary for us to understand all of that. But this playful and this what is that? Love fight between Radha and Krishna. That is the, how to say, rasa that is going on here. Chitta kadhito ma hoite vishaya chahi lagaite jatna kore nare kadhibare tare dhyana shiksha karaho lokaha saya amaro sthana sthana na karo vichare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I would like to withdraw my consciousness from you and engage it in material activities. Geham Jusham, we engaged in family affairs. The actual translation, the rasa translation, the madhurya feeling of Radharani, the gopis, is actually this. We are engaged in family affairs. Please awaken your, lotus feet in our hearts. That was the verse, right? But you see what she actually means. I want to withdraw my consciousness from you. I want to forget you and engage it in material activities. But even though I try, I cannot do so. I'm naturally inclined to you only. Your instructions for me to meditate on you are therefore simply ludicrous. In this way, you're killing me. It is not very good for you to think of me as a candidate for your instructions. Don't treat me like your disciple. I'm not. I want to forget you. You are asking me to meditate on you, but I want to forget you. I'm not interested to meditate on you, but I cannot stop meditating on you. So you don't need to teach me, oh, you meditate on me. It's simply ludicrous. Even if you ask me to forget you, I am unable to do so. You don't need to teach me this. I am already there. In other words, it's not good for you to think of me as a candidate for your instructions. So, of course, again, formal explanation by Śrīla Prabhupada for the understanding of us, the philosophical understanding. Nahe gopi jogeshwar pada kamala tomar ध्यान करे पाए संतोष তোমার বাক্য পরিপাটি তার মধ্যে কুটিনাটি শুনি গোপীর আরো বাড়ে রোষ তোমার বাক্য পরিপাটি তার মধ্যে কুটিনাটি শুনি গোপীর আরো বাড়ে রোষ The gopis are not like the mystic yogis. They will never be satisfied simply by meditating on your lotus feet and imitating the so-called yogis. Teaching the gopis about meditation is another kind of duplicity. When they are instructed to undergo mystic yoga practice, they are not at all satisfied. On the contrary, they become more and more angry with you. What is paripati? Let's see what is paripati. Very kindly composed. Your words are very nice and smooth and, very compassionate, filled with compassion and knowledge and, formal philosophy. Tar madhye kutinati. Yeah? If you read between the sentences, there is so much duplicity. You are just joking with us. And actually, Krishna was kind of joking with them. Although he was speaking, because you see how beautiful this is. Krishna is such an expert person. He was in the middle of such serious people, with all formal, he was a king and he has to behave like a king. King, you can't talk with somebody else's wives in a joking way, right? You have to behave properly in the midst of everyone. So he was doing that. So, and everybody who listened to him, vareva, big, very, actually it is, to be very honest, it is very, very deep philosophy and very essential philosophy. Nothing is wrong in that. But in front of them, he's doing that. But with the gopis, they know he's joking with them. And that joking is increasing their anger. But he also knows that him joking with them is what they would like. And they becoming angry with him is actually their intensifying of their love for him. It is not that they're actually angry in the sense they don't like what Krishna is doing. They actually like that he is playing with them. And he is dealing with them. And in such an expert way that unbeknownst to all others, he is just speaking to them. In a very personal way, in a very cryptic way that cannot be understood by. And gopis are also very expert. They also prayed very nicely. Ahustate nalina nabha padaravindam. Very, very humble prayer, and everybody would be like, oh wow, such nice people. They are fully, pointing their complete anger towards Krishna there. Okay, so this is again formal philosophical explanation here. देह स्मृति नाही जार संसार को पकाहा तार ताहा होते ना चाहे उद्धार विरह समुद्र जले काम तिमिंगिले गिले गोपी गण ने हो तार पार. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the gopis have fallen into the great ocean of separation and are being devoured by the timingala fish of their ambition to serve you. The gopis are to be delivered from the mouths of these timingala fish, for they are pure devotees. Since they have no material conception of life, why should they aspire for liberation? Why are you teaching me about liberation and all of this? Why should they be instructed, or why should they aspire for liberation? The gopis do not want that liberation desired by yogis and jnanis, for they are already liberated from the ocean of material existence, which is a fact. So although Krishna has said all these things, the gopis are replying in one verse. Krishna spoke from 41 to 46, 6 verses he spoke. Gopis just one verse, 48. Completely smashed Krishna's philosophy. Smashed him. Although it looks like agreement with him. Both are very expert, Krishna and the gopis. Very, very expert. Okay. Vrindavan Govardhan, Jamuna Pulinavan, Shai Kunjay Rasadika Leela, Shai Vrajera Vrajajana, Mata Pita Bandhu Gana, Bada Chitra Kemone Pasarila. It is amazing that you have forgotten the land of Vrindavan. And how is it that you have forgotten your father, mother, and friends? How have you forgotten Govardhan Hill, the bank of the Yamuna, and the forest where you enjoyed the Raslila dance? Vidagdha mridu sadguna, sushila snigdha karuna, तुमे तुम्हार नाही दोषाभास तबे जे तुम्हार मन नाही स्मरे व्रज जना शेयामार दुर्दैव विलास. Krishna, you are certainly a refined gentleman with good qualities. You are well behaved, soft hearted, and merciful. I know that there is not even a tinge of fault to be found in you. Yet your mind does not even remember the inhabitants of Vrindavan. This is only my misfortune and nothing else. Now, in a more humble tone. नागणियापन दुख देखि व्रजेश्वरी मुख व्रज जनेर हृदय विदरे किबा मारो व्रजवासी किबा जियाओ व्रजे आसी केनो जियाओ दुख सहाय बारे. I do not care for my personal unhappiness, but when I see the morose face of Mother Yashoda and the hearts of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan breaking because of you, I wonder whether you want to kill them all. Or do you want to enliven them by coming there? Why are you simply keeping them alive in a state of suffering? So in the family affairs, Geham Jusham, engaged in the family affairs, this is what she is referring to. The gopis are referring to. Your family, our family, we are all like, how have you forgotten all of your family affairs and everything? We are now engaged there and we are seeing every day Mother Yashoda and everything. How have you forgotten? And you're speaking big philosophy from here. Don't try to console us like that. Don't try to be so smart. Don't try to be too smart with us. Tomara je anya vesha, anya sanga, anya desha. व्रज जने कभु नाही भाया व्रज भूमि छाड़िते नारे तोमाना देखिले मरे व्रज जनेर की होबे उपाय. तुम्हार जे अन्य वेश अन्य संग अन्य देश. So you see, व्रज जने कभु नाही भाया. The inhabitants of Vrindavan do not want you dressed like a prince, nor do they want you to associate with great warriors in a different country. They cannot leave the land of Vrindavan, and without your presence, they are all dying. What is their condition to be? Tumi vrajer jivana, vrajarajer pranadhana, tumi vrajer sakala sampad, kripardra tumara mana, आसी जियाओ व्रज जना व्रजे उदय कराओ निज पद. My dear Krishna, you are the life and soul of Vrindavan Dham. You are especially the life of Nanda Maharaj. You are the only opulence in the land of Vrindavan. You are very merciful. Please come and let all the residents of Vrindavan live. Kindly keep your lotus feet again in Vrindavan. That is what is the meaning of the 1080-48 verse. Now let us look at the 1080-48 verse again and see the cryptic message there. Ahuschate nalinanabhapadarvindam Yogeshwarairhridi vichintyamagadhabodhaih samsarakupapatitottaranavalambam Geham jushamapi manasyudiyat sadana. Samsara Kupa, in the dark well of material existence. For them, it is dark. Without Krishna, it is dark. So in that way, they are mentioning all of this. In a very, very highly elevated conjugal mood, they are mentioning all of this. Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. For the karmis, yes, your lotus feet are the only shelter. We have also fallen into a great deep well, very dark well. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. So thank you. Thank you very much for your highly elevated teachings. Thank you. Go and give that to the Jnanis and Yogis. Don't come and tell me that. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are ordinary persons, only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Yeah. You're now sitting in this opulent place with all these opulent surroundings and all big people, gold and, elephants and horses and chariots and all of that. And now talking big philosophy. We are only ordinary persons. We are not interested in that. We want your feet to be there. My heart is actually Vrindavan. It's non-different from Vrindavan. Come to Vrindavan. And in the family affairs that we are engaged with, we are taking care of your family also. Your Nanda Maharaj, your Mother Yashoda, they are dying there. Please remember and come there. Don't talk big philosophy to us. Don't ask us to meditate. We want to forget you, to be very honest. But we are unable to do so. So what can we do? Don't ask us to meditate on you. We have had enough of you, but we cannot have enough of you. So please come back. So that is what the gopis are saying here. And this, with such intense Vipralambha feelings of the gopis and the jesting of Krishna, the joking of Krishna, masked in serious words and of the Krishna and humble words of the gopis, constitute the highest ecstasy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relished this so much during the Rath Yatra, which is the whole pastime of pulling Krishna back to Vrindavan. So that's why the Rath Yatra, when Radharani is saying, please come back to Vrindavan, the pulling of the Rath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, you see this chapter, you see the title of this chapter, the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at Rath Yatra. Here. So during the Rath Yatra, these are the conversations of Krishna and the gopis that he was remembering, and he was singing these verses. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura also circumambulated Jagannath Mandir with these verses. So this is the kind of moods that are aroused in Puruṣottama-kṣetra, and this is the Puruṣottama Mass. The original enjoyer, Puruṣottama, the transcendental supreme enjoyer, Krishna, who is the enjoyer of all the females who we are supposed to be female. So the Ras Leela is the perfect picture of Krishna being the enjoyer, and all the gopis are enjoyed by him. That is Puruṣottama. And these are the pastimes. These are the moods of the gopis. So this is what I wanted to show today. I also wanted to show another part of the Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākur's pastimes, Dham Seva. So how he established Gaudiya Math in those places, in that place, and how he saw the land there. Probably another session, because it will be a little late. I think we'll stop it here. So thank you all very much for attending and being patient. Let me go through the questions and comments if we have any. Adi 333 Dubhran, which is the root word of Vishwambhar, indicates nourishing and maintaining. But also Adi 775 7-9, is it? Vishwambhari. Vishwambhar Naam. 332. Bhakti Rase Bharilo. Dharilo Bhutagram. In his early pastimes, he is known as Vishwambhar because he floods the world with the nectar of devotion and thus saves the living beings. 332. And then 9-7. Sorry, why am I going to 7.9? 9-7. प्रभु कहे आमी विश्वम्भर नाम धरी नाम सार्थक है यदि प्रेमे प्रेमे विश्व भरी. Lord Chaitanya thought, my name is Vishwambhar, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. And this is tied to that first verse, Kshiti Pavanaha, Utkale Puruṣottama-kṣetra-māhātmya. So, all the Vaishnava Sampradayas will originate from Puruṣottama-kṣetra in Kali Yuga and purify the entire earth. And actually, that is actualized by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who combined all the four Sampradayas, and he exhibited his highest leelas there, and which are the mother of every other philosophy and rasa and everything. So, from there, now his teachings, his mood, everything is spread everywhere now, all over the world. All glories and thanks to Śrīla Prabhupada. So, that is the meaning there. Why did Bangladesh deteriorate so badly despite so many devotees appearing? Well, unfortunately, there are also sinful people, and now it has taken over. I mean, all these holy places will be covered. Many holy places will be covered all over India as well. The holy places themselves cover themselves from the sinful people. That's actually what is happening in the esoteric aspect of the world's affairs. Exoterically, it appears that the holy places have been overpowered, but no, the holy places hide themselves from rascals. So the pure devotees, they will reveal again holy places. So in that way, again the mercy starts flowing again. So like that. Ten 21:5. Yes, the beauty of Krishna. So many verses from chapter 21. Yes. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Okay. Experience the peak ecstasy. Stayed in Jagannātha Purī only. Radharani loved to see him as covered by my children. To experience peak ecstasy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Jagannātha Purī only. Radharani loved to see him as cowherd by only. Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Jagannātha Purī then? So because Viraha is greater than Sangama. Separation is greater than meeting, more ecstasy than meeting. So he wanted to experience the highest ecstasy. If you see Adilila chapter 1, text 6, he wanted to understand the limits of Radha Rani's love. And to understand the limits, those limits are found in Kurukshetra, which is signified by Jagannātha Purī, where Krishna does not have the flute, and in that mood, he is feeling all these feelings. So he wanted to taste the highest ecstasy. So in that way, he taught us that Vipralambha is the highest. All right, so these are some of the points here. These are some of the moods of our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So I'd like to stop here. जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र की जय, पुरुषोत्तम मास की जय, श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण।